Okay, so I need to tell you this story because honestly, I still can't believe it happened. And I need you to understand something right off the bat. I'm not the villain here, even though for the longest time, I was made to feel like I was. This whole thing, it's like a nightmare that just kept getting worse and worse until it exploded in the most insane way possible. So buckle up because this gets dark, twisted, and honestly, I'm still processing it all. My name's Sarah, and this story is about my brother Marcus, his wife Vanessa, my two kids, Emma, who's 7, and Jake, who's 5, and how I went from being the family's golden child to being treated like I had the plague, all while literally bankrolling everyone's lives. Yeah, you heard that right. But let me start from the beginning because you need the full picture to understand just how messed up this got. I'm 34, a software engineer for a major tech company. I've done well for myself, really well. 6-figure salary, good investments, bought my house at 28. I'm a single mom, which, yeah, comes with its challenges, but I've never let that stop me. My ex-husband, David, he's not in the picture anymore. Left when Jake was 6 months old, and good riddance, honestly, but that's a whole other story. The point is, I've been doing this on my own, and I've been killing it. My kids are my world, and I work my butt off to give them everything. My brother Marcus, he's 2 years younger than me, 32. We were always close growing up. I mean, really close. I was the one who helped him with his homework, drove him to soccer practice when mom was working double shifts, helped him move into his first apartment. When our dad died 7 years ago from a sudden heart attack, it was just devastating for all of us, but Marcus took it especially hard. He kind of lost his way for a while, dropped out of his master's program, bounced between jobs. I was there for him through all of it. Then 3 years ago, he met Vanessa at some friend's barbecue. She worked in marketing, seemed nice enough at first, pretty, put together, had her life sorted, or so it seemed. They started dating, and honestly, I was happy for him. He seemed lighter, more like his old self. I welcomed her with open arms, invited her to family dinners, girls' nights, tried to build that sister-in-law bond, And at first, everything was fine. Not great, but fine. There was always this undercurrent with her, like she was sizing me up or something, but I brushed it off. They got engaged after a year of dating. Quick, but whatever, when you know, right? The wedding was this whole production, destination wedding in Tulum, Mexico. Cost a fortune. And here's where things get interesting. Marcus came to me looking all sheepish and uncomfortable and asked if I could help with the wedding costs. Their budget was tight, he said. Vanessa wanted this picture-perfect Instagram wedding and they were drowning in quotes from vendors. Could I pitch in? Maybe like 10 grand? Now, here's the thing. I love my brother. He's literally the only family I have left besides our mom, who lives on a fixed income in a retirement community in Florida. So I said yes, but not 10 grand. I ended up paying for almost 40% of that wedding. 40%. We're talking close to $30,000. I paid for the venue, the photographer, and half the catering. Did I get a thank you? Sure, a quick one. Did Vanessa ever acknowledge it? Barely. At the wedding, she literally said, "Thanks for helping out," like I'd brought a casserole to a potluck, not funded her dream wedding. But okay, fine, family, right? That's what you do. The wedding was beautiful, they seemed happy, and I thought that was that. I flew down with Emma and Jake. They were the cutest flower girl and ring bearer, by the way. Everyone loved them. They were 4 and 2 at the time. And yeah, they're kids, so there were a few moments where Jake got fussy or Emma needed to use the bathroom at an inconvenient time, but nothing crazy, just normal kid stuff. But apparently it wasn't fine for Vanessa. Looking back now, I can see that's when things started to shift. Little comments here and there. "Oh, Sarah, your kids are so energetic. Must be hard managing them on your own," always said with this sympathetic smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I started noticing she'd invite Marcus over for dinners at their place, but would specifically say, "just you," when he'd ask if he should bring me and the kids. Holiday gatherings became tense. She'd arrange the seating so my kids were at the kids' table in another room, even when there were like 3 kids total and plenty of space at the main table. Then came the birthday party incident. This was about 6 months after the wedding, Vanessa's 30th birthday. She threw this big party at their house. Well, when I say their house, I should mention that I co-signed on their mortgage because Marcus's credit was still recovering from his rough patch, and I put down 15% of the down payment, another 25 grand. But hey, family, right? Anyway, this party. I got the invitation in the mail, actual fancy printed invitation, and it said clear as day, adults only event. I called Marcus immediately. Adults only? Seriously? It's a backyard birthday party, not a bachelor party at a strip club. He sounded uncomfortable. Yeah, Vanessa just wanted it to be more of a cocktail thing, sophisticated. She's worried about the kids running around, breaking stuff, the noise level. Marcus, they're 7 and 5. They're not feral animals. They know how to behave. I was trying not to lose it, but I could feel this anger building in my chest. And since when do we exclude kids from family gatherings? I know. Look, maybe just this once. Get a babysitter? It's just one night. He was pleading, and I could tell he didn't want to be in the middle of this. I should have put my foot down right then. I should have said, no, this is ridiculous. We're a package deal. But I didn't want to cause drama. So I hired a babysitter, spent the evening at this party feeling completely out of place, while Vanessa held court, posting everything on Instagram with hashtags blessed and family and besties. She'd tagged me in some of the photos, by the way, like we were close. The whole thing felt so fake. After that, the adults only thing became a pattern. 4th of July, adults only because fireworks might scare the children. Thanksgiving, well, they were hosting at their place, and it would just be easier without kids running around. Christmas Eve, you guessed it. Vanessa had this whole aesthetic planned, and children would disrupt the ambiance. Every single time, it was presented like she was doing me a favor. You deserve a break, Sarah. Parenting is so hard. Have some adult time. But here's what made it extra twisted. She'd post all these photos from these gatherings on social media. Pictures of her and Marcus looking like the perfect couple, photos with our mom when she flew in for Christmas, group shots with Marcus's friends and their wives, and the captions would be all about family and togetherness and gratitude. Meanwhile, I'm at home with my kids, explaining why they can't see their uncle or grandma for the holidays. Emma started asking questions. Mommy, why doesn't Uncle Marcus want to see us anymore? That one hit me like a punch to the gut. How do you explain to a 7-year-old that she's being excluded from her own family? I tried to make excuses, but I could see it was hurting her. And Jake, he was too young to fully understand, but he'd ask about Uncle Marcus and Aunt Vanessa all the time because he remembered them from the wedding and from before when things were normal. I confronted Marcus about it multiple times. Each time, he'd make excuses. It's not about your kids, Sarah. Vanessa just likes to keep things low-key. She's stressed with work. You're being too sensitive. That last one really got me. Too sensitive? My children were being systematically excluded from their own family, and I was being too sensitive? Meanwhile, and this is where it gets even more insane, I was still financially supporting them. About a year into their marriage, Marcus came to me because they were struggling with their mortgage payments. Vanessa had lost her job, he explained. The company had downsized and she'd been let go. They needed help just for a few months until she found something new. Could I cover their mortgage, just temporarily? So I did, because despite everything, he's my brother, and I didn't want them to lose their house. The house I co-signed for. The house I helped buy. A few months turned into 6 months, then a year. Vanessa apparently wasn't having much luck finding work, or so I was told. I was basically paying their mortgage while being told my kids weren't welcome at family functions. The irony wasn't lost on me, trust me. But every time I thought about cutting them off, I'd think about Marcus, about how Dad would have wanted me to look out for him, about family loyalty and all that stuff we were raised to believe in. And it wasn't just the mortgage. Car repairs? I helped. Medical bills? Covered them. Vanessa wanted to take some online courses to upskill for better job opportunities. I paid for those too. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars over the course of 2 years. I kept a spreadsheet, call me petty, but I wanted to know exactly how much I was investing in people who couldn't even let my kids come to a Christmas dinner. My friends thought I was insane. Sarah, you need to cut them off. This is toxic. They're using you. Wake up and smell the manipulation. I heard it all. But you don't understand how complicated family stuff is until you're in it. It's easy to say just walk away when it's not your brother, not your only sibling, not the person you grew up with and loved despite everything. Things came to a head last spring, April specifically. I found out through Facebook that Vanessa was pregnant, not from Marcus calling me, not from a family announcement, from a carefully curated pregnancy announcement post with a photo of them holding little baby shoes captioned, "Our greatest adventure begins." I stared at my phone in complete shock. My brother was having a baby, and I found out via social media like some random acquaintance. I called him immediately. I was furious, hurt, confused, all of it. Marcus, what the hell? You're having a baby and you didn't even tell me? I had to find out on Facebook? He had the audacity to sound defensive. We were going to tell you, Sarah. We just wanted to wait until after the first trimester. And we wanted to announce it to everyone at once. So we did the post. Everyone at once? Marcus, I'm not everyone. I'm your sister, your only sister, the one who's been helping you for the past 3 years, the one who... I stopped myself because I didn't want to throw the money in his face, even though I was thinking it. Boy, was I thinking it. I know. Look, I'm sorry, okay? Things have been crazy. Vanessa's been having some morning sickness, and we've been dealing with a lot. There was a long pause. Actually, there's something else I need to talk to you about. Can we meet for coffee? We met the next day at a Starbucks halfway between our houses. He looked tired, older somehow, worn down. He ordered some fancy latte and I paid for it, because of course I did. Force of habit at that point. Okay, so what's going on? I asked, trying to keep my voice level. He stirred his coffee for what felt like forever before finally looking at me. Vanessa and I have been talking, and with the baby coming, we really need to get our finances in order. The mortgage is still tight, and now with baby expenses coming up, he trailed off, and my stomach dropped because I knew where this was going. Marcus, I've been covering your mortgage for over a year. I've paid for so many things. I can't keep doing this forever. I know, and we're grateful. Really, we are. But here's the thing. We want to make sure we can provide the best environment for our child, a stable, peaceful home. And Vanessa, she has some concerns. He wouldn't look at me, just kept stirring that damn coffee. What kind of concerns? My voice came out colder than I intended, but I was starting to get a really bad feeling about this conversation. We think that maybe it would be better if, going forward, family gatherings stayed adult only for at least a while, just until the baby's older. New parents need support, adult support. And with Emma and Jake, they're great kids, really, but they're loud and energetic, and Vanessa's worried about stress levels affecting the pregnancy and then the baby's development. And I cut him off. Are you seriously telling me that you want to exclude my children from meeting their cousin, from family events, while asking me to continue financially supporting you? I felt like I was in the twilight zone. This couldn't be real. It's not excluding, Sarah. It's just postponing for now. And about the financial stuff, we were actually hoping you could help us with the nursery costs too. Vanessa's found this crib that's perfect, but it's a little pricey. I stood up. I didn't yell, didn't make a scene, just stood up and grabbed my purse. No. Sarah, come on. No, Marcus, I'm done. You want to exclude my kids? Fine, but don't expect another dime from me. Not for your mortgage, not for your nursery, not for anything. Figure it out yourself. I walked out of that Starbucks, got in my car, and cried for 20 minutes before I could even start the engine. It felt like mourning, like I was losing my brother, my family, everything. But I was also angry, so incredibly angry. How dare they? How dare they take and take and take while treating my children like they were some kind of inconvenience to be managed? I stopped paying their mortgage that month, stopped answering Marcus's calls and texts, at least for a while. I needed space. I needed to protect my kids and myself from this toxicity. My therapist, I started seeing a therapist because this whole situation was messing me up, called it setting healthy boundaries. I called it survival. For a few months, there was radio silence. I threw myself into work, focused on Emma and Jake, tried to rebuild some sense of normalcy. The kids stopped asking about Uncle Marcus after a while, which broke my heart, but also felt like a relief. I wasn't sure which was worse. Then, in September, things got weird. Really weird. I started getting these feelings. You know when something is off, but you can't quite put your finger on it? I'd drive past Marcus and Vanessa's house sometimes, not intentionally, it was just on the way to Emma's school, and I noticed their cars weren't there at odd times. Middle of the day on a weekday, multiple days in a row. The house looked empty, dark. The mail was piling up in their mailbox. I told myself it was none of my business. They were adults, they could do what they wanted, I was done involving myself in their lives. But then our mom called me. She sounded confused, a little hurt. "Honey, have you talked to your brother lately? I've been trying to reach him for a week. His phone goes straight to voicemail." I hadn't talked to him since that coffee shop disaster in April. I told Mom as much, explained the situation, maybe not all the financial details, but enough that she understood there'd been a falling out. She sighed. "I just want my kids to get along, and I want to be involved with my first grandchild. Vanessa's due in a few months, you know?" Yeah, I knew. I'd seen the weekly pregnancy updates on Instagram, perfectly styled bump photos with captions about grateful and blessed and manifesting a healthy baby. It made me want to throw my phone across the room every time I saw them. After I hung up with Mom, I sat there staring at my own phone, debating, should I reach out, check in, make sure they were okay? Part of me was worried despite everything. Marcus was still my brother. But then I remembered Emma's face when she asked why Uncle Marcus didn't want to see her anymore, and that worry hardened back into anger. 2 weeks later, I got a text from an unknown number. "Sarah, it's Vanessa. We need to talk. Can you come by the house tomorrow, around noon? It's important." My first instinct was to delete it and pretend I never saw it, but that word important nagged at me. What if something was wrong with the pregnancy? What if Marcus was hurt? Despite everything, I couldn't just ignore a potential emergency, so I texted back, "Fine, tomorrow at noon." I showed up at their house the next day, my stomach in knots. I'd left the kids with my neighbor. No way was I bringing them after everything that had happened. The house looked different. There were boxes stacked on the porch. Moving boxes? My heart started racing. Were they moving? Did they lose the house because I stopped paying? But that didn't make sense. It had been months, and foreclosure doesn't happen that fast. Vanessa answered the door, and I barely recognized her. She'd lost weight, a lot of it. Her face was gaunt, dark circles under her eyes. She was definitely pregnant. You could see the bump under her oversized sweater, but she looked sick, exhausted, haunted. "Thanks for coming," she said quietly, stepping aside to let me in. The house was chaos. More boxes everywhere, furniture covered in sheets, pictures taken down from the walls. "What's going on? Are you guys moving?" I tried to keep my voice neutral, but I was freaking out inside. Vanessa led me to the kitchen, one of the few rooms that still looked semi-normal. She sat down heavily in a chair and gestured for me to do the same. "Sarah, I owe you a massive apology, a massive explanation, and probably a lot more than that, but let's start there." I just stared at her, waiting. This was not what I expected. Her voice cracked and she took a shaky breath. "I've been an absolutely terrible person to you, to your kids, and I need you to understand why. Not because it excuses anything, but because you deserve to know the truth." She looked down at her hands, twisted together on the table. "I've been jealous of you since the day Marcus introduced us. Insanely, toxically jealous. You had everything figured out. Successful career, beautiful home, 2 amazing kids. You were doing it all on your own and making it look easy. And Marcus, he talked about you constantly. How smart you were, how you helped him through Dad's death, how you were his rock. I felt like I was competing with you from day one." I wanted to interrupt, to say something, but she held up her hand. "Let me finish, please, because it gets worse." She took another breath, and I saw tears starting to form in her eyes. This baby I'm carrying, it's not Marcus's." The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the table to steady myself. "What?" "I had an affair. It started about 6 months after Marcus and I got married. A guy from my old job, before I told everyone I got laid off. I didn't actually get laid off, Sarah. I quit. I quit because I was having panic attacks about work, about keeping up appearances, about everything. But I was too proud to admit I was struggling, so I lied. And then I started this affair because I felt so lost. And this guy made me feel seen and... God, it sounds so pathetic saying it out loud." She was crying now, tears streaming down her face, but she kept talking. "I got pregnant, and I didn't know what to do. I convinced Marcus it was his. He was so happy, so excited, but the guilt, it's been eating me alive. And then my affair partner, he found out about the pregnancy, started demanding I leave Marcus, threatening to tell him if I didn't. So we've been planning this move in secret. I'm leaving, Sarah. I'm leaving Marcus, and I'm taking this baby that isn't his, and I'm destroying his life." I felt like I was underwater, trying to process what she was saying. Does he know? Does Marcus know? I told him 3 days ago. I couldn't keep lying. He's been staying at a hotel ever since. He's devastated, completely destroyed. And I know, God, I know, that a huge part of this is my fault. All of it. I pushed you away because I was jealous. I kept your kids away because seeing you be such a good mother made me feel like a fraud. I took your money because I'm a selfish, terrible person who's been pretending to have her life together when really I've been falling apart for years." She looked up at me then, her face blotchy and wet with tears. "I'm telling you this because Marcus needs you. He needs his sister. And those beautiful kids of yours need their uncle. I've ruined enough. I won't ruin that too. I'm leaving today, and I'll be out of your lives for good. I needed you to know the truth, and I needed to tell you I'm sorry, even though sorry doesn't begin to cover it." I sat there in stunned silence. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to rage about all the hurt and exclusion and manipulation, but looking at her, this broken woman who'd imploded her entire life, I just felt empty, sad. "Where is Marcus now?" My voice sounded strange to my own ears. "Still at the Sheraton downtown, room 412. He won't talk to me, hasn't answered any of my calls. I don't blame him." She stood up slowly, wincing a little. "I should finish packing. My flight's at 6. I'm going back home to Ohio, staying with my parents. They don't even know about any of this yet. That'll be a fun conversation." She walked me to the door, and we stood there awkwardly for a moment. "For what it's worth," she said quietly, "Emma and Jake are lucky to have you as a mom, and I hope someday you can forgive me enough to not hate me completely, though I'd understand if you do." I left without saying anything else. What could I say? My mind was reeling, trying to piece together this new reality. Marcus had been betrayed in the worst possible way, and I'd cut him off right when all of this was happening, not knowing what he was going through. The guilt hit me like a wave. I drove straight to the Sheraton, didn't call, didn't text, just showed up and took the elevator to the 4th floor. Knocked on room 412. It took a minute, but the door finally opened. Vanessa looked worse than Marcus. Unshaven, clothes wrinkled like he'd been sleeping in them, eyes red and swollen. When he saw me, his face crumbled. "Sarah," he said, voice breaking on my name. And then he was hugging me, or I was hugging him. I'm not sure who moved first, but we were holding each other, and he was crying, really crying, in a way I hadn't seen since Dad's funeral. "I'm so sorry," he kept saying. "I'm so sorry. You were right about everything. I was such an idiot, such a blind idiot." I got him back into the room, sat him down on the bed. "Marcus, I'm here now, okay? I'm here and we're going to get through this. I don't deserve your help, not after how I treated you, how we treated your kids.
God, Sarah, I let her convince me that Emma and Jake were too much, too loud, too whatever. Your babies, my niece and nephew. What kind of uncle does that? What kind of brother? He was spiraling, and I needed to snap him out of it. A brother who got manipulated by someone very skilled at manipulation. That's what kind. Marcus, look at me. I grabbed his face, made him look at me. You messed up. Yeah, you did. You hurt me and you hurt my kids. But you're also my brother, and I'm not going to abandon you when you need me most. That's not who we are. That's not who Dad raised us to be. We talked for hours. He told me everything, how Vanessa had slowly isolated him from me, always with plausible reasons that seemed reasonable at the time, how she'd play on his guilt about our family dynamics, suggesting I was overbearing or that I made everything about me and my kids, how she'd convinced him that accepting financial help from me was empowering because it meant they could focus on their relationship and future, but involving my kids would be draining. He could see now how calculated it all was, how she'd driven a wedge between us while taking my money with one hand and pushing me away with the other. The worst part, he said, staring at the ugly hotel room carpet, is that I chose her over you, over and over again. You were there for me my entire life, and I threw that away for someone who was lying to me from day one. Hey, I said firmly, you messed up. Yeah, you did. You hurt me and you hurt my kids, but you're also my brother, and I'm not going to abandon you when you need me most. That's not who we are. That's not who Dad raised us to be. We talked for hours. He told me everything, how Vanessa had slowly isolated him from me, always with plausible reasons that seemed reasonable at the time, how she'd play on his guilt about our family dynamics, suggesting I was overbearing or that I made everything about me and my kids, how she'd convinced him that accepting financial help from me was empowering because it meant they could focus on their relationship and future, but involving my kids would be draining. He could see now how calculated it all was, how she'd driven a wedge between us while taking my money with one hand and pushing me away with the other. The worst part, he said, staring at the ugly hotel room carpet, is that I chose her over you, over and over again. You were there for me my entire life, and I threw that away for someone who was lying to me from day one. Hey, I said firmly, you messed up. Yeah, you did. You hurt me and you hurt my kids, but you're also my brother, and I'm not going to abandon you when you need me most. That's not who we are. That's not who Dad raised us to be. We talked for hours. He told me everything, how Vanessa had slowly isolated him from me, always with plausible reasons that seemed reasonable at the time, how she'd play on his guilt about our family dynamics, suggesting I was overbearing or that I made everything about me and my kids, how she'd convinced him that accepting financial help from me was empowering because it meant they could focus on their relationship and future, but involving my kids would be draining. He could see now how calculated it all was, how she'd driven a wedge between us while taking my money with one hand and pushing me away with the other. The worst part, he said, staring at the ugly hotel room carpet, is that I chose her over you, over and over again. You were there for me my entire life, and I threw that away for someone who was lying to me from day one. Hey, I said firmly, you messed up. Yeah, you did. You hurt me and you hurt my kids, but you're also my brother, and I'm not going to abandon you when you need me most. That's not who we are. That's not who Dad raised us to be.
Over the next few weeks, we worked on rebuilding. Marcus got therapy, thank God, because he really needed it. I helped him move out of the house he'd shared with Vanessa. He couldn't stand being there anymore. He got a modest apartment closer to me, something he could actually afford on his own. We sat down with Emma and Jake and explained, in age-appropriate terms, that Uncle Marcus had been going through some hard times, but that he was back now and wanted to be in their lives again. Emma was skeptical at first. "Are you going to leave again?" she asked him directly, her 7-year-old face serious and guarded. It broke my heart. Marcus knelt down to her level. "No, sweetheart. I made some really big mistakes, and I hurt you and your brother and your mom, but I'm going to do better now. I promise. And if I ever mess up again, you can tell me, okay? You can always tell me how you feel." It took time. Jake warmed up faster. He was young enough that he mostly just remembered Uncle Marcus as the fun guy who gave piggyback rides. Emma needed more time, more proof. But Marcus showed up. Every week he'd come over for dinner. He came to Emma's soccer games and Jake's kindergarten play. He called just to check in, not because he needed something. For my part, I stopped being his ATM. We had a serious conversation about money, about boundaries, about what family support meant. I made it clear that I would be there for him emotionally, that I'd help in ways that mattered, but that the days of bankrolling his life were over. He needed to stand on his own feet. And to his credit, he understood. He got it. He even insisted on drawing up a payment plan to eventually pay me back for at least some of what I'd contributed. I told him it wasn't necessary, but he was adamant. "I need to do this, Sarah, for my own self-respect." October came and went. November approached. The baby's due date loomed like this dark cloud we all knew was there, but tried not to talk about. Marcus had initiated divorce proceedings. Vanessa had signed the papers without contest. I think she knew she had no leg to stand on. He'd blocked her on everything. He didn't want to know about the birth, didn't want updates. It was too painful. But then something happened that neither of us expected. November 12th, I got a call at work from an unknown Ohio number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Sarah? It's Vanessa." Her voice was small, shaky. "I know I have no right to call you, but I don't know what else to do." "What's wrong?" Despite everything, I couldn't help the concern that crept into my voice. "I went into labor, early labor. I'm at the hospital and there are complications. The baby's in distress and they might need to do an emergency C-section. And my affair partner, he left. Sarah, he left when I told him about the complications. Just walked out of the hospital and blocked my number. My parents are on their way, but they're 2 hours out, and I'm alone and scared and..." She started crying, real gasping sobs. I looked at my computer screen, at the photo I was supposed to join in 5 minutes. Then I looked at the photo on my desk of Emma and Jake. "What hospital?" I found myself asking. She told me, "Cleveland Metro, a 6-hour drive from where I was." "I'm going to call Marcus," I said. "Don't," she begged. "Please don't. He hates me. He should hate me. I just needed to hear a familiar voice, and you're the strongest person I know, and I..." "Vanessa, stop. I'm calling Marcus. He deserves to know." I hung up and immediately dialed my brother. He answered on the first ring. "Sarah, what's up?" I told him everything Vanessa had said. There was a long silence on the other end. "Marcus, you still there?" "Yeah, I'm here. I'm just processing. Why would you even tell me this? That baby isn't mine. Her affair partner abandoned her? Good. Maybe she'll finally understand how it feels." "Marcus, I know you're hurt. I know you're angry. But is that really who you want to be? Angry and bitter? What do you want me to do, Sarah? Rush to her rescue? Play the hero for a woman who lied to me for months, who made me think I was going to be a father? I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what's happening, and whatever you decide, I'll support you. But I think you should ask yourself, what would Dad do?" That was a low blow, and I knew it, but it worked. Marcus went quiet again. When he spoke, his voice was rough. Dad would go. Even though it makes no sense, even though she doesn't deserve it, he'd go. "Yeah," I said softly. "He would." "Damn it, Sarah," he sighed heavily. "I'll pick you up in 20 minutes. We're driving to Cleveland." So that's how Marcus and I ended up on a 6-hour road trip to Cleveland, driving through the night to a hospital where his ex-wife was giving birth to a baby that wasn't his. It was surreal, insane, but also somehow it felt right. We talked during that drive, really talked, about Dad, about how his death had affected us both, about forgiveness and what it means to be family, about how you can be hurt by someone and still choose compassion, not for them, but for yourself, about how holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Marcus was conflicted, swinging between wanting to turn the car around and needing to see this through. I just drove and listened and didn't judge.
We got to the hospital at 4 in the morning. Vanessa's parents were in the waiting room, looking exhausted and worried. They recognized Marcus and seemed shocked to see him. "Marcus? We didn't expect," her mother started. "Is she okay?" Marcus ignored the awkwardness. "They did the C-section an hour ago. She lost a lot of blood, but she's stable. The baby, she was a baby girl." Her mother's face crumpled. "The baby's in the NICU. She was born premature and her lungs aren't fully developed. They're doing everything they can." "She?" Marcus repeated. "It's a girl?" Vanessa's father nodded. 5 pounds, 2 ounces. They have her on oxygen. A nurse came out and said Vanessa was awake and asking for Marcus. Her parents looked confused. So did I. Marcus looked terrified. "Do you want me to come with you?" I asked. He shook his head. "No, I need to do this alone." He was gone for 30 minutes. When he came back, his face was unreadable. She apologized, really apologized. Not the bullshit, "I'm sorry you feel that way" stuff. Real accountability. And she asked me something. He looked at me, and I saw tears in his eyes. She asked me if I'd be willing to be in the baby's life. Not as a father, she was clear about that, but as, I don't know, someone who cares. She said she knows she has no right to ask, but that baby deserves people who will show up for her, and she knows I'm a good person, even if she treated me like trash.
"What did you say?" I asked gently. "I said I needed time, that I can't make that decision right now. But I also said that I'm here now, at this hospital, and that means something, even if I don't know what yet." We stayed at the hospital until visiting hours started, and Marcus could see the baby through the NICU window, this tiny little thing, hooked up to monitors and tubes, fighting for every breath. I stood next to him as he stared at her. "She didn't ask to be part of this mess," he said quietly. "None of this is her fault." "No," I agreed. "It's not." "What do I do, Sarah?" He sounded lost. "I don't know, Marcus, but I know that whatever you decide, it should come from a place of healing, not pain. Don't make choices based on what Vanessa deserves or doesn't deserve. Make them based on what's right for you and what kind of man you want to be." We drove back home later that day. Vanessa's parents had arrived and she was stable, and the baby, they'd named her Lily, was holding her own. Marcus was quiet most of the drive, processing everything. I gave him space, just keeping him company in the silence. When I dropped him at his apartment, he turned to me before getting out of the car. "Thank you for telling me, for coming with me, for not judging me for going or not going or any of it. That's what family does, real family." The next few weeks were a waiting game. Lily stayed in the NICU for 3 weeks before she was strong enough to go home. Marcus kept tabs on her progress through Vanessa's mother. He didn't visit again, but he also didn't cut off all contact. He was figuring things out, working through it in therapy. As for Vanessa, we didn't have contact after that night. I heard through the grapevine, Marcus's reports from her mother, that she was living with her parents, struggling with postpartum depression on top of everything else. Her affair partner never came back. She was alone with a newborn, dealing with the consequences of her choices. I should hate her. Emma and Jake should hate her. Marcus definitely should hate her. But mostly, I just feel sad for her. Sad that she was so consumed by jealousy and insecurity that she destroyed her own life. Sad that a little girl is going to grow up someday and have to learn about how she came into the world. Sad that it all had to implode so spectacularly. But here's the thing, and this is the part that still gets me, months later. Something good came out of all this destruction. Marcus and I are closer now than we've been in years. Emma and Jake have their uncle back, really back. He's teaching Emma how to code. Turns out she's got a knack for it. Go figure. He takes Jake to the park every Saturday morning so I can have a few hours to myself. He's rebuilding his life, slowly but surely. Got a new job, started taking better care of himself, joined a divorce support group.
And last week, he told me he's been thinking about Lily, about what kind of relationship, if any, he might want to have with her. Not as a father, he's clear about that, but maybe as someone in her life who can be a stable presence. He hasn't made any decisions yet, and I've told him there's no rush. Whatever he chooses, whenever he's ready, I'll support him. As for me, I've learned a lot from this whole nightmare. About boundaries, about the difference between supporting family and enabling bad behavior, about how sometimes love means saying no, about how you can forgive someone without forgetting what they did or letting them back into your life in the same way. I've also learned that family, real family, isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who fights for you, who changes and grows and does the hard work of being better. Marcus is doing that. Emma and Jake are seeing that. They're learning that people can make mistakes and still be worthy of love, but that they have to earn back trust. And me? I'm done being everyone's ATM. I'm done sacrificing my boundaries for the sake of keeping the peace. I'm done feeling guilty for having my life together. I worked hard for what I have, and I'm raising 2 incredible kids on my own, and I don't need anyone's approval or validation. But here's the twist, and this is the part that I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about. 2 weeks ago, I got a letter in the mail from Vanessa, a real handwritten letter, 5 pages long. In it, she told me everything, and I mean everything, about her childhood, her abusive first relationship, her struggles with anxiety and depression that she'd never told anyone about how when she met Marcus, she thought he was her ticket to a normal life, but his relationship with me made her feel like she'd always be second place, about how that jealousy poisoned everything, made her make increasingly terrible decisions until she destroyed her entire life. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She made that clear. She said she was writing because she's in therapy now, working on herself, and part of that process was taking full accountability for her actions. She thanked me for calling Marcus that night, said she didn't deserve the compassion I showed her, but that it probably saved her life because she was in such a dark place. And then, at the end of the letter, she included something that made me go cold. Receipts. Actual receipts and bank statements, and a full accounting of every dollar I'd given them, and a confession. She hadn't lost her job. She'd been pocketing the money I sent for mortgage payments and spending it on her affair partner, taking him to trips, buying him gifts, funding their relationship. The mortgage had been in default for months, which is why they were moving. They were about to be foreclosed on. She stole from me. Knowingly, deliberately stole from me while keeping my kids away from family events. It was worse than I thought. So much worse. I showed Marcus the letter. His face went through about 5 different emotions before settling on rage. What? Sarah, you need to press charges. This is fraud. I know what it is, I said quietly. I'd spent the last 2 days since receiving the letter trying to process it, and I need to decide what I want to do about it. Here's where I'm at now. I could destroy her. I have the documentation. I could press charges, sue her, make sure she faces legal consequences. Part of me wants to. The angry part, the hurt part, the part that remembers my daughter asking why her uncle didn't want to see her. But there's another part of me, the part that went to that hospital, that saw a broken woman holding a premature baby, that understands how people can spiral when they're drowning in their own issues. I'm not saying she shouldn't face consequences. I'm not saying I forgive her or that what she did is okay. It's not okay. It's so far from okay. But I'm also thinking about Lily, this innocent baby who didn't ask to be born into this mess. If I press charges, Vanessa could go to jail. And then what happens to Lily? She'd be raised by grandparents while her mother serves time for fraud? So here's what I've decided, and Marcus thinks I'm crazy, but it's my choice. I'm not pressing charges, but I am cutting all ties completely and permanently. Vanessa will never be welcome in my life or my kids' lives again. If Marcus decides to have a relationship with Lily, that's his choice, and I'll support him. But it will be on his terms, not Vanessa's. And I'm writing off the money. All of it, not because she deserves that mercy, but because I deserve peace, because carrying around that anger and resentment would hurt me more than it would hurt her. And I'm also telling this story, putting it out there, because I think there are probably other people out there who've been in similar situations, being the family bank while being treated like garbage, being gaslit into thinking your boundaries are unreasonable, being told you're too sensitive when you're actually being mistreated. And I want those people to know you're not crazy. Your feelings are valid, and it's okay to walk away. Marcus asked me how I can just let it go, let her get away with it. And I told him she's not getting away with anything. She's lost her marriage, her home, her self-respect. She's a single mother dealing with postpartum depression on top of everything else. Her affair partner never came back. She was alone with a newborn, dealing with the consequences of her choices. That's not getting away with it. That's living with the consequences of her choices. But me? I'm free. I have my kids, my brother back, my self-respect intact. I know who I am and what I stand for. I know that I'm a good person who tried to help family and got burned, but that doesn't make me a victim. It makes me human. So that's where we are now. It's been a journey, man. Such a weird, painful, complicated journey. Emma and Jake are doing great. Emma's in 2nd grade now, thriving. Her relationship with Marcus getting stronger every day. Jake just lost his first tooth and insisted Uncle Marcus had to see it immediately. We had him over for dinner that night, and watching Marcus help Jake write his note to the tooth fairy, it felt like maybe we really could heal from all this. Christmas is coming, our first real family Christmas in 3 years. Just me, Marcus, Emma, Jake, and Mom flying in from Florida. No toxic dynamics, no exclusion, no walking on eggshells, just family. Real family, the kind that shows up, that fights for each other, that does the hard work of being better. And Lily, I don't know what her future holds. Marcus is still figuring out what role, if any, he wants to play in her life. He's taking it slow, which is smart. Maybe one day she'll be part of our weird, reconstructed family. Maybe not, but whatever happens, it'll be because Marcus chose it, not because anyone manipulated or guilted him into doing it. As for Vanessa's letter, I kept it. I'm not sure why. Maybe as a reminder, maybe as proof that even people who hurt us deeply are still human, still struggling with their own demons. Maybe just because it felt wrong to throw it away. I haven't responded to it. I don't plan to. Some chapters need to close completely. So yeah, that's my story. My sister-in-law forbade me from bringing my kids to family events while I was literally paying for her life, and it all turned out to be part of this massive web of lies and manipulation that eventually imploded spectacularly. It's not the ending I expected. It's messy.